I've always been a meticulous planner. I never do anything on the spur of the moment. Well, except for little things once in a while, like getting married. So I was living with my husband in Florence, Alabama. We'd been married for 5.5 years. His mother took an instant dislike to me when we met. And I know she was talking behind my back, undermining his feelings for me. He turned into a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And Mr. Hyde kept coming out more and more often until he came out to stay. The last 6 months we were married, he wasn't nice to me one time. He criticized every single thing about me. And there was nothing I could do to please him. Finally, I said, I can't take this anymore. I want a divorce, and I'm moving back to Kansas City. By this point, moving back in with my parents was preferable to staying with an abusive man. After he got over his shock that anyone would want to leave such a perfect husband as him, he agreed to the divorce. Now that he no longer felt the need to change me, we became friends again. In fact, we walked hand in hand to see the divorce lawyer. Well, my friend Noelle did not want me to move away, so she begged me to give him another chance. So I told him, you know, if you would just keep being nice to me like you are now, I wouldn't want the divorce. And he said, wait a minute. I just got used to the idea. Give me 2 weeks to think about it. So I was sweet as pie to him during those 2 weeks. And on the last day, May the 23rd, I was getting ready to go perform at a belly dance show that my friends were putting on. He walked into the bedroom and he said, I've decided I still want the divorce. And I thought, that's it then. This marriage is over. So I went to the show and my friends turned it into a going away party for me. Noelle introduced me to Charles, who was a dear friend of her and her husband. Now, after the show was over, she told me that she was throwing a big party at her lake house and that I must come. Now, I never do 2 things in one night, ever. But I was feeling kind of spontaneous. I was feeling a bit defiant. So, when I arrived at her house, she met me at the door and said, Sherry, Charlie's crazy about you, and he asked if it's too soon to propose. I said, what? She said, Charlie was helping me set up chairs, and I told him, Charlie, you're going to sit here, and Sherry's going to sit here next to you. And he sat down, and he scooted your chair right up next to his, and he said, no, Sherry's going to sit here. And then he picked up your chair, and he put it in his lap, and he said, no, Sherry's going to sit here. Well, I thought that was about the cutest thing I'd ever heard. Now, he was 20 years my senior and not all that good looking anymore, but it just felt so good to get some positive male attention for a change. So I went along with it. So Noelle pushed us together all weekend. I told him, now I'm going to be moving back to Kansas City next week, but I do plan to come back for a visit in August for the W.C. Handy Jazz Festival. So he asked me to be his date. Well, late the next evening, Noelle called me. Sherry, you've got to come over here and call Charlie. He's gone back home to Atlanta. And I said, Noelle, I'm still living with my husband. I can't do that. But she would not take no for an answer. Oh, all right. So I drove down, she dialed up the number, and she handed me the phone, and we talked for an hour. When I hung up, she asked, well? And I said, he sounds perfect. So I went back to Missouri the next week, and Charles came up in July, and he proposed to me. And he came back up again in August, and he married me. just days after our divorce came through. Now, I would say that between May the 23rd and August the 12th, that's a pretty spontaneous connection. We had an even more spontaneous disconnection the day we got back from the honeymoon. But that's another story.